lots of religious guilt, and also this movie could have been probably 40 to 45 minutes shorter. The Exorcist, overhyped or right? Hey y'all, it's your Twisted Girl Next Door here, and today I am doing my Overhype or Right segment, where I review and dissect popular and cult horror classics to see if the hype they get is justified. The Exorcist. It's about a young girl who gets possessed by some demons and the priests who try to save her. That's the plot. Point of reference, this is my second time in my life watching this film. The first one I just watched a couple years ago, and then I watched it recently in a critical view. 1. Was the plot innovative and or groundbreaking? You know, if this was like 2002 or something, or even the 90s, I would say, no, this plot isn't innovative. But as many of us know who have, know about Exorcist type movies and possession movies more so, this was actually the first of its kind when it came out in the 1970s. So I would say in that sense, yes, it was totally groundbreaking. It was one of the first of its kind to show the idea of possession of not just like of an adult, but of a young girl, innocent and things of that nature in such a graphic way. 2. Were any of the characters in the film memorable? I'm going to say Reagan, the young girl, of course, right? I mean, she was possessed by demons, and more so her demons were very memorable.
You're going to die up there.
Man, that was, yeah. 3. The script. Was there any popular lines or really groundbreaking, resonating scenes and dialogue in the film? Yeah.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Man, you know, something about that line. I felt that, like Drake. Not that my mom, no. Also, I think that iconic scene of her head spinning all the way around was, yeah, that too. And also the scene where she spits up, parodied scenes in our popular cultural history. 4. Context. When it comes to The Exorcist, it definitely has a significance in history in the sense, as I said earlier, it was the first of its kind where it really showed in such detail the question of possession, of demonic possession, of Satan, perhaps, when it comes to the innocence of a young child. I mean, I think up to that point, and maybe even some years after, children are usually off limits in horror movies, unless they're the evil character themselves, right? You know, it's one or the other. It's like either the kid is the evil entity, or the kid is like the thing that won't die and will be protected. Now, there's been very recent films that have basically thrown that trope out the window when it comes to not killing kids. But I think back in the 1970s when The Exorcist came out, it definitely was the first of its kind in that sense of putting such a young girl in such a brutal and, just in your face kind of violent, horrific kind of way that probably shocked a lot of people. I mean, now we're also oversaturated where we're kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, her head's turning around, whatever, like her face is all broken and scarred because this demon's making her scratch herself, whatever. Another fun fact is that it seemed like the set was cursed. I mean, in doing my research, it would appear that there were like accidents and stuff. Like people just did not have a good time on this set. And maybe that was because they were letting the material of what they were exploring get to their heads. But it didn't seem like it was a happy place. This is where it gets controversial, right? Because, and this is why I wanted to explore this film, because I wasn't scared. But then again, I know, even with my first viewing some years ago, and I've told people this afterwards, and they look at me like I'm crazy, I didn't find The Exorcist scary. I don't find that element, like the whole possession thing, scary. And I think when it comes to The Exorcist, it's definitely that kind of film that maybe if you have Catholic, leanings and things of that nature, maybe even just general like Christian ones, that it may affect you a bit more. I think it's a mixed bag. I do definitely think this film plays on guilt. It plays on people's own personal struggles. And in that sense, it's effective, but I don't know if it's a movie that is like universally creepy, which is, what people touted as. Like, this will scare anybody. If you're not scared, oh my gosh. But I really don't think it's that kind of film. Maybe no film is like that, right? Maybe there's no film that's universally scary, but I definitely don't think The Exorcist is. And since no film is perfect, and The Exorcist is not perfect, y'all, it's not perfect, let's get into the flaws. My one major flaw with this film is the length. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we can admit that this movie went on about 40 minutes longer than it needed to. I'm sure it was necessary, to establish the other priest and his journey as well, because I know they did like prequels with his character and things of that nature. It didn't need to be that long though. It didn't. It was like 25 minutes of him going around. No, it didn't need to be that long. I don't care what you say. It didn't need to be that long. And that was actually a thing of the whole film. There was just scenes of small talk and banter that I know, in narrative and script writing and things of that nature, that those were like kind of like a show me instead of tell me for the characters. Like by watching them in their scenes of talking to people, you get a sense of their personality. But I don't actually think that translated well. So I think in that sense, you had a script that was filled with a lot of air, a lot of extra stuff that didn't necessarily have to end up in the final product. And I know part of that is because it's based off of a book. And we all know with book adaptions, sometimes you want to keep everything. And maybe that was the case in this situation, but it could have used some editing. The hype in The Exorcist is definitely justified. It's historic. It's the first of its kind. It has sparked a trend that is still going in horror films, be it a bit overdone a lot of the time. And for that, I would say someone should watch this film at least once in their lifetime. So, did you watch The Exorcist? Do you think I'm totally off in my assessment, or do you think I actually made some good points? Let me know, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. And also, be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos of all things horror. Thanks for watching. Let's get creepy together.